We are changing up the weather pattern in Florida. I'm going to talk about why that is over the next few minutes. What's going on, guys? I'm certified meteorologist Jonathan Kagas. In this video, we are going to talk about an active stretch of weather coming from the Atlantic. It's not tropically induced, not a tropical storm or anything like that, but it is coming from the tropics. I'm going to break that down for you. As a result of extra rain and extra cloud cover around, we are going to back off the temperatures just a little bit as well throughout a lot of the state of Florida. We're going to talk about the Central Florida forecast first, and then I'm going to show you a wide view of the future radar and the temperatures when it comes to the entire state of Florida after I break down why this is all happening. And then finally, we're going to end with a tropical update. There's one wave to watch. It's way out near Africa. There's a lot of time to watch it, but certainly something to keep in mind as we prepare to head into August as we crank things up just a little bit. Going to start with Wednesday evening first, July 26th. A few scattered thunderstorms. See that east to west motion here off of the Atlantic. That is going to be the dominant pattern over the next couple of days. That breeze, that flow from the Atlantic over to the Gulf side, firing up the storms near I-95, and then kind of pushing everything inland. The change in this pattern a little bit, even though it's coming in the same direction, comes tomorrow, and I'll show you why in just one second. And if you are finding this content helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to stay updated on all things weather in Florida, and of course this hurricane season, you have to hit subscribe. Please do that. There's 8, 9 o'clock on your Thursday morning. Be on the lookout for a couple of showers and thunderstorms possible, especially close to the coast first. And then these are gradually going to push inland. So here we go by lunchtime, 1 to 2 o'clock. We're going to see an increase in rain. Shower and thunderstorm chances are going to start to go up as we move to the early stages of the afternoon, especially around Sanford, Orlando, Kissimmee, and getting up into DeLand, Deltona. Ocala, we can start to see a few scattered shower and thunderstorm chances coming our way. And then the further west you are of the Atlantic coast, closer to the Gulf of Mexico, places like the Villages, into Bushnell, Claremont, Mineola, we will see our shower and thunderstorm chances start to go up a little bit later on into the afternoon. As again, things are originating off of the Atlantic coast and then pushing inland. I'll show you another wide view coming up in just one second. If you do want to find something else in this video, the tropical update or the Florida view, you can scrub across your screen there and take a look at those time codes. I have those in the description as well. We're back to the upper 80s in Sanford, in Orlando, and Kissimmee. This is all because we're going to get an earlier start with the cloud cover, an earlier start with the rain on Thursday. Again, average high temperatures are in the low 90s, so we're going to be at or just below average temperatures in Leesburg at 91 tomorrow. We're at 91 in the Villages. Kissimmee, we're going to check in again into the upper 80s. It's all because of this kind of complex setup here weather-wise. You see this spin in the water vapor imagery. I'll bring out my arrow to kind of point this out to you. Notice down by the western tip of Cuba, you see that swirl right there. There's an upper low situated right there towards the Yucatan Peninsula and the tip of Cuba. We also have another upper low kind of spinning right there. And then at the surface, we have a little trough of low pressure. That was the tropical wave. That one was previously highlighted by the Hurricane Center with a low shot for development. We talked about this one, that this one likely wouldn't develop, but would do exactly what it's doing, enhance the rain chances throughout the entire state of Florida. But all of these colors you see on your screen there, that is the moisture kind of erupting there from thunderstorms that are getting going because of kind of these three systems. Again, that upper low there, surface trough kind of right on through here, and then another upper low right there. And that is why our pattern over the next couple of days, really as we close out the work week, is going to be so unsettled. So we can kind of see the rain activity from that system right here over the western Bahamas, getting into southeast Florida tonight, Wednesday evening. That's 6 o'clock on July 26th. There are some of those storms, again, kind of pushing in just from that flow right off the Atlantic. Watch what happens, though, again, as we get into tomorrow. You see all that heavier rain start to push into South Florida, especially. Note the time. Again, this is going to be early morning, so commute time. Again, heads up towards Fort Lauderdale into Miami, even the Keys, Naples. Again, back towards Lake Okeechobee, Fort Pierce. We'll start to see that rain arrive early. And then we'll get that push closer to Central Florida. Again, as mentioned, there's lunchtime to 1 o'clock with scattered shower and thunderstorm chances increasing through I-95 through about the I-4 corridor. That's going to help to keep temperatures, again, relatively speaking, on the cooler side. It's still going to be steamy. It's still going to be hot and humid, but we'll get a little bit of a break. We're not talking about the 110-ish heat index like we had last week at times. And then there we go into the evening. We desperately need the rain on the Gulf Coast of Florida. I think we're going to get some of that with these disturbances sliding through, especially towards Tampa, St. Pete, Sarasota, into Bradenton, Fort Myers, and Naples as well. We're going to get in on some of that. Notice a kind of little pinwheel. Again, we're not going to have a well-defined system by any means. This is not going to get a name by any means, but it is going to increase our rain chances throughout a lot of the state of Florida. Look at the temperatures, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. Again, it's still going to be hot. It's still going to be humid out there. There's 11 o'clock. Note Fort Pierce, we're only at 79 degrees. Miami, we're in the low 80s. Where you see the lighter colors, the yellow start to pop up, that is where it's going to be cooler. Note the difference, though. The purple towards the banner where it says temperatures back towards Louisiana into Georgia, parts of the deep south. That's where triple-digit heat is staying. So Florida, relatively speaking, is going to be on the cooler side. Notice 89 again in Orlando, 89 in Jacksonville, Fort Pierce, 83 degrees by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Miami will check in the low to mid 80s as well. Do note, though, where it gets hot. We did talk about those increasing rain chances again later on the day on Thursday for the Gulf Coast, but those don't come in until later on into the evening, so we will have the opportunity and likelihood to really bake. So again, Tampa through Fort Myers, Sarasota, likely getting into at least the low 90s, maybe even mid to upper 90s. You see it there, the forecast for Tampa for Thursday, July 27th, going to be 95 degrees. On to the tropics. If you're still with me, hit that thumbs up button. There's the tropical update here. 30% shot for development over the next couple of days with this wave of low pressure southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. Again, it's not impressive right now. It's going to be battling some dry, dusty air. I will show you the Saharan dust in a little bit, which has also been impacting Florida a lot this week. But out in this yellow area, northeast of the Caribbean, this is going to be the development zone area where we're going to have that potential and we'll likely see this percentage go up over the next couple of days. Again, this one's way out near Africa. It's got a lot of time to develop. We have a lot of time to watch it, but this is going to be the area of potential development. I want to show you a couple of things here. This is going to be the spin forecast. I'd like to show that for you again. When you start to see that red color pop up, and not like this. Notice how we have this big kind of plume here, this big drawn out string bean looking thing. This is a not well defined system. It's kind of made up of a little bunch of little ripples, if you will. As we take this further out into the future, now the European model really does not develop it. It tries to consolidate something here by July 29th. You kind of see, I'll draw it here with the white line. Here is our open wave still, the wave pattern coming in. To be considered a tropical cyclone, again, there's cyclones everywhere, but to become a tropical system, you need to have the center closed. You need to have that counterclockwise wind field continuous around, and then it needs to be producing thunderstorms as well. The European really does not get this strong. It is one of its faults. I know everybody loves that model, but it has a hard time, a lot of times anyway, developing these systems in the main development region, as we call them. And again, that main development region is the area from the Lesser Antilles, which are right here, all the way towards the Cabo Verde Islands. So that is your main development region of the Atlantic Basin. You'll note a couple of things here. We're going to talk about the steering. There's that big chunk of high pressure, the Bermuda, Azores high, just chilling right there in the central Atlantic. That is going to help to hopefully guide this thing away from the United States. And certainly, I'll show you the GFS representation, does get this thing pretty strong and gets flung away. That's the calling card, and that's the hope anyway. We do like these things to get strong out in the main development region, at least away from land, because there's a bigger tendency for them to feel kind of pulls and tugs in the atmosphere and go away from the United States. But the euro does kind of get a little stronger there as we head towards the first couple of days of August, and then kind of gets ripped apart as it slides up through. I want to show you the GFS representation now. Same kind of wind field here. There is our Bermuda Azores high hanging out right there. Notice here is our drawn out tropical wave. And again, we can see that. Let me change my color here to highlight that better. The wind coming in. There's our kink up. There's our open wave. And then right on through there. Now watch what happens in the GFS representation. Again, when you start to see the darker red, that means there's stronger low-level spin. And then when you start to see these arrows here, make that counterclockwise turn. That is the model showing us that we're starting to get a low-level, well-defined circulation, which would characterize this as a tropical system at this time. All right, so there we go later on in time. And look how strong this thing gets. We have it right here, northeast of the Caribbean. our big area of high pressure, let me move that as we have moved the model, is now kind of drifting back towards the Azores. But watch what happens. It kind of follows that. So if it gets strong, it is going to have the tendency, although the Euro and GFS kind of put it in the same place, it does look like again, this is still a long way out. We're looking at August 2nd, but have this dip in the jet stream off of the United States coast. That will also help to lift it away, guide it away from the United States. So in the early going, and again, there's a lot of time to watch this. There's a lot of time to watch it strengthen and see how it behaves and interacts and develops. I think it's positive because we will have that dip in the jet stream to try to take it away. If it does slow down and misses its ride out, that's a different story. But again, that is a lot to iron out 7 to 10 days out into the future. It is battling some dry, dusty air right now, and we are seeing some of that dry, dusty air. So if you happen to be tuning in from South Florida, and it's with the rain coming in from those couple of waves, those upper-level features that I showed you earlier in this video, we're going to see the opportunity for your dirty windshields. A lot of times when we have the Saharan dust and you get that rain, you get those little specks on your windshield, on your porch furniture, on something like that, because we do have that dusty, dirty air a few thousand feet, really 15 to 20,000 feet above your head, that kind of gets mixed down and brought down to the surface. If we start to see those dirty marks on your car, that's going to be why. And we do still have the dust under the influence of around the Orlando area, right along the Space Coast. It's not as thick as what it is towards Lake Okeechobee, towards Fort Myers, Fort Pierce, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and the Keys. But nonetheless, it is there. With these systems coming in, it is going to help to kind of mix out and get rid of some of that dust that has been hanging out over South Florida, where it has been super, super hot over the past couple of days. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, changing up the weather pattern just a little bit. The rain is going to behave a little bit differently than we're used to because of those two upper-level systems and then that weak tropical wave off of our coast, off of the Atlantic coast. We're going to keep you posted on that. But again, rain chances go up, and they start a little earlier, especially in South Florida, but still getting an earlier start as well through Central Florida. It's going to keep us just a touch cooler, not by much, but it's something. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you found this content helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And if you do want to stay updated on all things Florida weather, you have to hit subscribe. Please do that. If you hit that notification bell, you'll be alerted to any time we post new content, and we will catch you next time.